Here is something that genuinely unsettled me when I first properly understood it. Researchers at Harvard gave a group of people with irritable bowel syndrome a sugar pill. No active ingredients, nothing in it. And they told them clearly from the very beginning that it was a sugar pill. No deception at any stage. The patients knew exactly what they were taking and exactly why they were taking it. Their symptoms improved significantly anyway. Roughly twice as much improvement as groups that received nothing. The results the researchers said was comparable to the best real IBS drugs available. Now I want to pause here because I think the most natural reaction to that is how? If they knew it was fake, why would it do anything? I had the same questions, and the answer, or the closest thing to an answer researchers have right now, is actually more interesting than the finding itself. Because it's not really about belief, it's about something that runs much deeper than belief. Recognition. Before I get into the science, I want to give you a feeling you probably already know. Think about a time you were dreading something, a difficult conversation, a medical appointment, or a long flight, and someone you trusted said, "It's going to be fine," or "You're going to be okay." They didn't have information you didn't have. They couldn't actually know, but something in you relaxed anyway. Not completely, but enough. Enough to change how you walked into the room. Or the opposite, you're feeling vaguely off and someone says, "That's been going around." And within an hour, the thing that was barely there is now the center of your attention. Neither of those people gave you anything real. No treatment, no diagnosis, no information that changed the facts. But something shifted in your body, in your experience, in what the next few hours felt like. That's the territory. And the placebo research is the most scientifically documented version of it. The main idea and why just belief isn't the answer. Most of us learned about the placebo effect as a footnote to real medicine. The control group thing, the people who got the fake pill to compare against the people who got the real one. The amplification was always slightly dismissive, meaning it's in your head, it doesn't count. But here's the problem with that framing. If you know something is fake and it still works, you can't explain it with belief. The belief isn't there, or at least not in the way we normally mean it. So what's actually happening? Researchers think it's at least three things, and none of them require you to be fooled. The three things. The first is conditioning. Our brain has spent our entire life learning one thing. We got sick, we take something, and we get better. That cycle has repeated so many times from childhood, from every cold and headache and stomachache, that the brain has built a deep automatic connection between the act of taking a pill and the process of recovering. Not a conscious connection, a wired one. So when you take a pill, even a pill is empty, the brain recognizes the ritual and starts running the program. It adjusts immune response. It reduces inflammation. Not because it was tricked, because it has been trained over decades to respond to that specific action. The body remembers what the mind has moved past. The second is attention and care. In these studies, the patients weren't just handed a pill and sent home. They were received into a structured process. A doctor sat with them, took time, explained things, followed up, and the whole ritual of being seen, taken seriously, and cared for was present, even when the pill itself was inert. And it turns out that experience alone of being genuinely attended to produces measurable psychological change, not as a side effect, as a direct mechanism. The human body responds differently when it feels it's being cared for. That's not mystical, that's something researchers can observe in brain scans and blood markers. The third is expectations, even a small one. The researchers told these patients that this type of pill had shown real improvement in clinical studies. So even knowing the pill was inert, a small seed of expectation was planted. Here is what the research suggests. The expectation doesn't have to be strong. It doesn't have to be confident or fully believed. Even a vague, uncertain expectation is enough to begin shifting the brain's predictions. And the brain, anticipating improvement, starts producing the biological condition for it before the improvement has actually arrived. This is what a Harvard researcher named Ted Kapchak, who has spent decades studying this, described as the brain and body creating a stronger connection based on what the system believes is coming. The body doesn't wait for the outcome, it prepares for it. The shadow side, nocebo. There's a flip side to this that I think is actually more important for daily life. If positive expectations can produce real improvements, negative expectation can produce real harm. Researchers call it the nocebo effect, from the Latin for I will harm, their counterpart to placebo's I will please. In clinical trials, patients warn about possible side effects, regularly report experiencing those side effects, even when they were given nothing active. To some measurable degree, the expectation of symptom becomes the symptoms itself. There is a research showing that patients in countries with more internet content about statin side effects were statistically more likely to experience statin intolerance. Not because the drug behaved differently, but because they went in expecting it to. The expectations shape the physical outcome. Now let's hold that next to our life for a second. The things we have been told about ourselves, about how we handle pressure, about what our body does in certain situations, about what kind of person we are. Some of those are accurate, some of them are nocebo, some of them are predictions that became self-fulfilling, not because they were true, because the brain, hearing them often enough, started preparing for them. How it shows up without you noticing. I want to be careful not to turn this into just believe better things and you will be fine. That's not what the research says. And I think it's a harmful oversimplification. But there's something more specific and more honest worth naming. It's the story that runs in the background. The one so familiar, it's become invisible. I always shut down in conflict. This is just how I am in this situation. And then you walk into the room expecting that to be true. Your nervous system, shaped by years of that prediction, begins producing exactly what you forecast. And afterward, it feels like confirmation, like evidence, like proof of who you are. But some of it, not all of it, not always, was the conditioning, was the expectation doing work that you attributed to your nature. What this is actually asking. The placebo effect doesn't prove that everything is just belief or that you can think your way out of real difficulty. Please don't take it that way. That interruption puts an unfair burden on people who are dealing with genuine illness, genuine pain, or genuine hardship. What it does prove with real data is that the line between what is happening and what you expect to happen is more porous than we usually assume. The brain is constantly running predictions, and those predictions have psychological weight. And that some of the stories we carry about ourselves, stories that came from other people or from old painful moments, are active. They're producing something right now in our body, in our experience. Not because we are weak or gullible, because we are human, because that's how the system works. Close. The sugar pill worked even when people knew it was a sugar pill. Not because they were fooled, because the brain had been trained over a lifetime to respond to that ritual. None of that required belief. It just required to being human. So here is what I keep coming back to. The story we carry about who we are in difficult moments. Where did it actually come from? And is it describing us or has it been quietly building us? This is Here on Human, a space for the thing that we question, forget, unlearn, and slowly come back to.